Welcome to Wednesday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz, and today we lead with news. American economic data continues to impress. But first up today, there was a full dairy auction, one that brought slightly lower prices overall in US dollar terms, down 1.4%, and slightly higher prices in New Zealand dollar terms, up 0.6%. The milk powder slipped 2.2%, while the milk fats, that's cheese and butter, were firmer. Demand was lighter, despite lower production reports in both the US and China. Although analysts will have noted these softer results, it seems unlikely the high Farmgate payout forecast will be altered by this result alone. But prices today are on the downside from recent highs. In the US, their Red Book monitoring of retail sales continued its very elevated rise from a year ago, up 6.8% and off a positive base. So this metric is really quite impressive. US exports continued their rise, up 5.2% in November from a year ago, up 9.3% for services. Imports are up too, but probably distorted by the pre-tariff surge, a surge that will continue into December. The US ISM Services PMI was very expansionary, and more so than the internationally benchmarked S&P market one. New order growth was strong, but it was current business activity levels that drove this rise. And that is reflected in their November JOLTS report. Analysts had expected a slip back, but in fact a surge in job opening was found in this survey, and quits were lower than expected. We're just 3 days away from getting the December non-farm payrolls report, and today's release suggests there may be upside coming to the 154,000 gain expected. So it'll be no surprise to know that their logistics sector is expanding fast in December, but an effort by firms to keep inventories under control meant that the latest fast expansion was less than in November. Today's US Treasury 10-year bond auction brought a median yield of 4.62%, at the well-supported event, although less than last time. But that was much higher than the 4.19% at the prior equivalent event just a month ago. And the Canadian Ivy PMI came in strong too, with a solid expansion reported and its best in 6 months, although not quite up to the expansion analysts had expected. Canadian exports rose too in November. In China, an update by major developer Country Garden shows just how damaged the property sector is there. In December, it sold only 50% of what it sold in the same month a year ago, itself a very weak benchmark. Beijing's stimulus efforts haven't helped this developer yet. And lower Chinese activity is seeing quite a sharpish dip for both coal and rebar steel prices now. And staying in China, their foreign exchange reserves fell in December, but their gold reserves rose for a second straight month. However, year on year, those reserves are only 0.2% lower and unchanged for the gold holdings. In Europe, their CPI inflation rate has been rising since October, now up 2.4%, largely driven by the German inflation rise we reported yesterday. Europe-wise, it is the rise in the cost of services that are the driver here. Energy costs are the restrainer. And Australian building consents came in less than expected in November. Year on year, these consents for new house building rose 3.8%, but multi-unit dwellings fell 6.4%. Month on month, both fell more than expected. They may still be in an overall recent rising trend, but that trend is weakening faster now. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.69% and up 6 basis points from yesterday. And the price of gold will start today at $2,651 an ounce, up $12 from yesterday. But oil prices are little changed. It's just on $74 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is up 50 US cents at just under $77 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar starts today at 56.5 US cents, unchanged from yesterday. Against the Aussie, we're up 10 basis points at 90.4 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're down 10 basis points at 54.2 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at just on 67.1 and up 10 basis points from yesterday. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $97,785 and down 4.2% from this time yesterday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been moderate at plus or minus 2.8%. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, And you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.